Torres stared at her phone screen, watching the numbers blur through her tears. 28 years old, and her entire world had collapsed in less than 12 hours. The small apartment she called home felt suffocating now, every corner holding memories she desperately wanted to forget. It started that morning when her boss called her into his office. 5 years of dedication, countless overtime hours, award-winning designs for major clients, all dismissed with a cold handshake and a severance check. Budget cuts, they said. Nothing personal, they claimed. But Emma knew the truth. Her work had become too expensive for a company that valued profit over people. She had rushed home early, hoping to find comfort in planning her upcoming wedding. The dress fitting was scheduled for next week. The venue was booked. 200 invitations sat in boxes in her closet, waiting to be addressed. Everything seemed perfect on paper, the betrayal walking into her apartment at noon instead of 6 in the evening changed everything. The sound of laughter came from her bedroom, followed by voices she recognized instantly. Her fiancé Derek and her best friend Hannah. Tangled in sheets that Emma had washed just that morning, the confrontation was ugly. Derek barely apologized, claiming Emma had been too focused on her career. Hannah cried but offered no real explanation. Both of them had betrayed her trust, and apparently, this had been going on for months. All those late work nights Derek mentioned, all those times Hannah was too busy to meet up, they had been together. Emma threw them both out within an hour. She changed the locks immediately, called the wedding venue to cancel, and sat on her couch in complete silence as the afternoon sun moved across her walls. The life she had carefully built was gone. The career she sacrificed for, the relationship she believed in, the friendship she treasured. All of it was ashes. The darkest hour by midnight, Emma had cried until no more tears would come. She sat on her balcony looking at the city lights below, feeling smaller than she had ever felt in her life. The pain was physical, a weight pressing on her chest that made breathing difficult. She wondered if anyone would even notice if she disappeared. Her phone sat beside her, battery at 15%. She picked it up, scrolling through contacts she no longer wanted to call. Her parents would worry too much. Her other friends were probably Hannah's friends too. Her coworkers were no longer her coworkers. She felt utterly alone. In a moment of desperation, mixed with curiosity, Emma opened her phone's keypad and began pressing random numbers. She had read somewhere that sometimes strangers were easier to talk to than people who knew you. Strangers had no expectations, no judgments based on your past. The random call the number she dialed was completely random. Area code 415, somewhere in California. She pressed call before she could talk herself out of it, half expecting voicemail or a disconnected tone. Instead, after 3 rings, a deep male voice answered. "Hello?" Emma froze. She had not actually expected anyone to answer at 2 in the morning. Her voice came out broken and small. "I'm sorry. I should not have called. I just needed someone to talk to." There was a pause on the other end. Emma was about to hang up when the voice spoke again, gentler this time. "Wait, don't hang up. Are you okay?" Those 3 words broke something inside her. Emma started crying again, unable to stop the flood of emotions. "No, I'm really not okay. I lost my job today. I found my fiancé cheating on me with my best friend. Everything is falling apart, and I don't know what to do." The voice in the darkness, the stranger on the other end, listened quietly as Emma poured out her heart. She told him everything, words tumbling out in a rush. How she had worked so hard to build her career. How she had trusted Derek completely. How Hannah had been her friend since college. How now she felt like her entire life had been a lie. "My name is Nathan," the voice finally said. "Nathan Cross. And I know this sounds strange coming from a complete stranger. But I understand what you're going through more than you might think." Emma wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "How could you possibly understand?" "Because 3 years ago, I was exactly where you are now," Nathan replied. His voice carried a weight of experience, of someone who had walked through fire and survived. "I lost everything in one day. My business partner betrayed me, stole my work, and left me with nothing. My girlfriend at the time left me for him. I was 32 years old and felt like a complete failure." Emma found herself listening intently. There was something honest in his voice, something real that cut through her pain. What did you do? A glimmer of hope. Nathan took a deep breath. I made a choice. I decided that losing everything meant I had nothing left to lose. So I started over. I built a new company from scratch, focused on what I actually cared about instead of what I thought I should do. It took 3 years, but now I run a successful tech company with 40 employees, and I'm happier than I ever was before. But how did you find the strength? Emma asked, her voice barely a whisper. How did you keep going when everything felt hopeless? I found one reason to wake up the next morning, Nathan said simply. Just one. Not 10 reasons, not a grand life plan. Just one small reason to see tomorrow? For me, it was proving to myself that I was more than my failures. What's your one reason, Emma? Emma looked out at the city lights, thinking about his question. She had spent the entire day drowning in loss, but she had not thought about what came next. I suppose I want to prove that I'm stronger than I think I am. Then that's your starting point, Nathan said warmly. Everything else builds from there. Listen, I know this is unconventional, but would you mind if we kept talking? I'm awake anyway, and you sound like you could use a friend right now. For the first time that day, Emma felt something other than despair. It was small, barely there, but it felt like hope. Emma pulled her blanket tighter around her shoulders as the night air grew cooler. Nathan's voice on the other end of the line had become a lifeline, an anchor, keeping her from drowning in despair. They had been talking for over an hour now, and somehow it felt natural, as if they had known each other for years rather than minutes. Tell me about your work, Nathan said. You mentioned graphic design. What kind of projects did you love working on? Emma hesitated. Talking about her career felt painful after the firing. But something about Nathan's genuine interest made her want to share. I loved branding projects for small businesses. There was this coffee shop owned by a woman who had dreamed of opening it her entire life. I designed everything from her logo to her menu boards. When she cried seeing the final designs, telling me I had captured exactly what she envisioned, that moment made everything worth it. That's beautiful, Nathan responded, and Emma could hear the smile in his voice. You were not just designing graphics. You were helping people bring their dreams to life. That's powerful work, Emma. Nobody had ever described her work that way before. At the agency, everything was about clients, deadlines, and profit margins. The human element had been lost somewhere along the way. I guess I never thought about it like that. The agency treated it like a factory. Produce designs, meet deadlines, move to the next project. Sharing wounds, Nathan was quiet for a moment before speaking. Can I tell you something? I have never told anyone outside my family and therapist. Of course, Emma said softly. 3 years ago, when I lost everything, I did not just feel sad or angry. I felt like I had failed at being human. My business partner was someone I considered a brother. We built our first company together right out of college. When he stole my work and pushed me out, it was not just about the business. It shattered my ability to trust anyone. Emma listened as Nathan's voice grew quieter, more vulnerable. I spent 6 months barely leaving my apartment. I stopped answering calls from friends. I convinced myself that if someone I trusted that much could betray me, then nobody was trustworthy. I was drowning in isolation of my own making. What changed? Emma asked, recognizing herself in his story. My younger sister showed up at my door one morning. She had flown across the country because I had not returned her calls for 2 weeks. She sat on my couch and said something I will never forget. She told me that giving up on people because one person betrayed me was letting him win twice. Once, by taking my business, and again, by taking my ability to connect with others. The mirror of Panema felt tears forming again, but these were different from the ones she had cried earlier. These tears came from recognition, from feeling understood. My pain feels so fresh right now. I cannot imagine trusting anyone again. Derek and Hannah were my people. If they could do this to me, who can I trust? Nobody at first, Nathan said honestly. And that's okay. Trust is not something you hand out freely after it's been broken. But Emma, isolation is not protection. I learned that the hard way. Building walls around yourself feels safe, but eventually, those walls become a prison. They talked about betrayal, about the specific ache of being replaced by people you loved. Nathan shared how his former girlfriend had left him a voicemail explaining she had fallen in love with his business partner, as if that somehow made the betrayal less painful. Emma told him about the wedding dress hanging in her closet, about the future she had planned that no longer existed. "Do you still have feelings for him?" Nathan asked gently. Emma considered the question carefully. "I think I have feelings for who I thought he was. The Derek I loved would never have done this. So maybe I'm grieving someone who never really existed." The turning point as the night stretched toward, for in the morning their conversation shifted. They moved from pain to possibilities, from what was lost to what could be built. Nathan told Emma about his company, a tech firm specializing in creating software for creative professionals. "We build tools that help designers, photographers, and artists manage their businesses without losing the creative spark that made them want to do this work in the first place," Nathan explained. "The corporate world tries to turn art into assembly line work. We're trying to fight against that." Emma sat up straighter, her designer mind engaging despite her exhaustion. "That sounds amazing. Most design software focuses on technical capability, but ignores workflow and the creative process itself." "Exactly." Nathan's enthusiasm was contagious. "You understand it. Most people don't get why that matters. They think good software just needs features, but it's about supporting how creative people actually think and work." They spent the next hour discussing design philosophy, creative processes, and the challenges of maintaining artistic integrity in commercial work. Emma found herself forgetting her pain for stretches of time, lost in ideas and possibilities. "An unexpected offer, Emma," Nathan said as the sky began to lighten with approaching dawn. "I know this is completely unexpected, and you have no reason to trust a stranger you met through a random phone call, but I want to make you an offer." Emma's heart beat faster. "What kind of offer?" "My company is expanding our design team. We need someone who understands both the technical side and the human side of creative work. Someone who gets that design is not just about making things look good, but about helping people achieve their dreams. Based on everything you have told me tonight, you might be exactly what we are looking for." Emma was stunned into silence. "Was this really happening?" "Nathan, you have not even seen my portfolio. You do not know if I'm actually good at what I do." "You're right," Nathan admitted. "Which is why I am not offering you a job. Not yet. I am offering you an opportunity. Come to San Francisco. Meet with me and my team. Show us your work. If it's a good fit for both sides, we will talk about a position. If it's not, at least you will have gotten out of your apartment and seen that the world is bigger than your current pain." Leap of faith. His mind raced. This was crazy. She had just met this man through a random phone call in the middle of her worst night. This could be dangerous, irresponsible, or just plain stupid. But something in Nathan's voice felt genuine. More than that, something in her own heart was responding to this opportunity with a whisper she had not heard in years. "Why are you doing this?" Emma asked. "Why are you helping someone you do not even know?" Nathan was quiet for a long moment. "Because 3 years ago, I needed someone to believe in me when I could not believe in myself. My sister did that. She saw potential in me when all I saw was failure. Maybe this is my chance to pay that forward. Or maybe I just recognize something in you, Emma, a strength you do not see in yourself yet." Emma looked at the horizon where the sun was beginning to rise, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. 12 hours ago, she had watched the sunset on what she thought was the end of her life. Now she was watching the sunrise on something she could not yet name. "Okay," she said, her voice stronger than it had been all night. "I will come to San Francisco. When do you want to meet?" "How about Monday?" Nathan suggested. "That gives you 3 days to prepare your portfolio and process everything that has happened. I will have my assistant send you the details and arrange your travel." "Emma, I cannot promise this will solve everything, but I can promise you will not face tomorrow alone." As they ended the call, Emma sat watching the sunrise and felt something she had not felt since yesterday morning. She felt possibility. Her life had shattered, but maybe broken pieces could be rearranged into something new. something better than what existed before. She picked up her phone and began organizing her design files. She had 3 days to put together a portfolio that showed not just her technical skills, but her heart. 3 days to prepare for a meeting with a stranger who had become a friend in one. Impossible night. The pain of Derek's betrayal and her job loss had not disappeared. But it no longer felt like the end of her story. It felt like the end of a chapter, with blank pages waiting to be filled with whatever came next. Emma boarded the plane to San Francisco on Monday morning, with her laptop bag clutched tightly to her chest. Inside was her carefully curated portfolio. 3 years of her best work organized into a presentation that showcased not just her technical abilities, but her understanding of storytelling through design. She had barely slept over the weekend, working obsessively to prepare, while simultaneously questioning whether she was making a huge mistake. The flight attendant's voice crackled over the intercom, announcing their departure. Emma closed her eyes as the plane lifted off, feeling the ground fall away beneath her. It felt symbolic somehow, leaving behind the life she knew for something completely unknown. Her mother had called that morning, worried about her daughter flying across the country to meet someone from a random phone call. Emma had tried to explain. But how could she make her mother understand something she barely understood herself? During the 3-hour flight, Emma reviewed her portfolio for the 100th time. Each project represented a piece of her journey as a designer. The coffee shop branding that had made her fall in love with helping small businesses. The nonprofit campaign that had won her an award. The tech startup logo that had been featured in design magazines. Looking at her work with fresh eyes, Emma realized Nathan was right. She had not just been creating graphics. She had been helping people shape their identities and tell their stories. First, Impressions the offices of Cross-Tech Solutions occupied the 15th floor of a modern building in the financial district. Emma stood outside the glass doors, her reflection staring back at her. She looked different than she had for days ago. The pain was still visible in her eyes, but there was something else there now. Determination, maybe, or hope wearing a disguise. She walked through the doors into a bright, open workspace that defied every corporate office stereotype she knew. Instead of gray cubicles and fluorescent lighting, the space featured large windows flooding the area with natural light. Collaborative workspaces with colorful furniture, and walls covered in artwork created by local artists. Designers worked at standing desks with multiple monitors, while others sketched ideas on large whiteboards. The energy was creative and alive. You must be Emma Torres. A woman in her early 30s approached with a warm smile. She had short black hair and wore a vintage band shirt with professional slacks. I'm Jennifer Park, head of product design. Nathan told me to watch for someone who looked both terrified and determined. You matched the description perfectly. Emma laughed despite her nervousness. Is it that obvious? Only to someone who has been exactly where you are, Jennifer said kindly. I joined this company 2 years ago after leaving a toxic work environment. Best decision I ever made. Come on, Nathan is waiting in the design studio. Fair warning, he's probably already had 4 cups of coffee and is bouncing ideas off anyone who will listen. That's just how he operates. Meeting Nathan in the design studio was a large room with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Several designers were gathered around a conference table covered in sketches and prototypes. At the head of the table stood Nathan Cross. And Emma's breath caught slightly when she saw him. He was not what she had imagined during their phone conversation. Somehow she had pictured someone older, more corporate. Instead, Nathan looked young for 35, with dark hair that was slightly messy, as if he had been running his hands through it while thinking. He wore jeans and a simple gray Henley shirt, no suit or tie in sight. When he looked up and saw Emma, his face broke into a genuine smile that reached his eyes. Emma, he said, crossing the room to shake her hand. His grip was firm but not overpowering. You made it. How was your flight? Nerve-wracking, Emma admitted honestly, but good. Your office is not what I expected. What did you expect? Nathan asked with curiosity. Something more corporate, I guess. Cold glass and steel. This feels more like a creative collective than a tech company. Nathan nodded approvingly. That's exactly what we are going for. We cannot build software for creative people if we operate like machines ourselves. Come on, Let me introduce you to the team, and then we can look at your portfolio. Portfolio review an hour later. Emma's work was displayed on a large screen while Nathan and his core team reviewed each project. Jennifer, two other senior designers named Marcus and Olivia, and the head of engineering, a quiet man named David Chen, all studied her work with focused attention. Emma stood to the side, her heart pounding as they examined 3 years of her professional life. "This coffee shop branding," Olivia said, zooming in on the details. "The way you incorporated the owner's grandmother's handwriting into the logo design, that's not just good design. That's storytelling. That's emotional connection." Marcus pointed to another project. "And this nonprofit campaign, you used color psychology to evoke hope without being manipulative. The balance between professional credibility and emotional appeal is perfect. Where did you learn to do this?" "Mostly through failure," Emma said honestly. "My first few years, I focused so much on making things look impressive that I forgot to make them feel authentic. I had a mentor who told me that good design makes people stop and look, but great design makes people stop and feel." Nathan had been quiet during the review, but Emma noticed him taking notes. When the presentation ended, he looked at his team. "Thoughts?" "She's overqualified for a junior position," Jennifer said immediately. "Her technical skills are senior level, and her understanding of brand narrative is exceptional." David Chen, who had been silent until now, spoke up. "I looked at the interactive elements in her web design projects. Clean code, smooth user experience, accessibility features built in from the start. She thinks like a developer even though she is a designer. That's rare." The conversation after the team dispersed back to their projects. Nathan led Emma to a smaller conference room with comfortable chairs and a view of the bay. He closed the door and gestured for her to sit. Emma's stomach fluttered with anxiety and anticipation. "You are incredibly talented," Nathan began, sitting across from her. "My team is right. You are overqualified for the position I originally had in mind. But I want to be honest with you about something, Emma. I did not just bring you here because of your design skills." Emma's heart sank. "Then why?" "Because I heard something in your voice that night that reminded me of myself. Someone talented and passionate who had been beaten down by circumstances and betrayal. Someone who needed to remember that their worth is not determined by the people who fail to see it." Nathan leaned forward, his expression sincere. "I built this company on a principle. Talent is everywhere, but opportunity is not. I wanted to create a place where creative people could do their best work without sacrificing their humanity." Emma felt tears forming, but fought them back. "I am scared, Nathan. Scared that I will fail. Scared that this is too good to be true. Scared that I will let you down after you took a chance on me." "Good," Nathan said, surprising her. "Fear means you care. It means this matters to you. The day you stop being scared is the day you stop growing. But Emma, I am not asking you to be perfect. I am asking you to be yourself and see where that takes us." The offer Nathan pulled out a folder and slid it across the table. "Here is what I am proposing. Senior Design Strategist position. You would work directly with clients on major branding projects, lead a small team of designers, and help shape the creative direction of our company. The salary is competitive, full benefits, and equity options after your first year." Emma opened the folder, her eyes widening at the numbers. It was more than she had made at her previous job, with better benefits and actual growth opportunities. "This is generous. Maybe too generous. It's what you are worth," Nathan said simply. "And Emma, there is something else. I know you are coming from a painful place. Starting over in a new city after losing everything is not easy. So I want you to know that this offer comes with no pressure. If you take this job and after 3 months you realize it is not right for you, no hard feelings. I would rather you find where you belong than keep you somewhere you are not happy." Akima looked at Nathan, really looked at him. She saw the sincerity in his eyes, the understanding that came from someone who had walked through fire himself. This was not just a job offer. It was a lifeline extended from one broken person to another, an acknowledgement that sometimes the most meaningful connections come from the most unexpected places. The choice. "Can I ask you something?" Emma said softly. "That night when I called, why did you answer? You could have let it go to voicemail. You could have hung up when you realized it was a wrong number. Why did you stay on the line? Nathan was quiet for a long moment, his gaze distant, as if remembering. Because 3 years ago, I stood on a rooftop at 2 in the morning, wondering if anyone would notice if I disappeared. My sister found me there. She talked me down, literally and figuratively. She saved my life that night. When you called, I heard that same desperation in your voice. I could not walk away from it. Maybe I answered your call because someone answered mine when I needed it most. Emma's breath caught. She had not realized how close Nathan had come to his own edge, how much he understood about the darkness she had been drowning in. "Thank you," she whispered, "for answering, for listening, for this. So what do you say?" Nathan asked, a hopeful smile on his face. Ready to start a new chapter? Emma thought about Derek and Hannah, about the job that had discarded her, about the life she had planned that no longer existed. Then she thought about the portfolio she had created over the weekend, about the team of creative people she had just met, about the sunrise she had watched after the longest night of her life. "Yes," Emma said, her voice strong and clear, "I am ready." 6 months later, Emma stood in front of her team, presenting their latest campaign for a small bookstore that wanted to expand into 3 new locations. The designs celebrated literacy, community, and the magic of discovering new stories. As she clicked through the presentation, she caught Nathan's eye from across the room. He gave her a subtle thumbs up. After the meeting, as the team celebrated landing the account, Jennifer pulled Emma aside. "You know, when Nathan told me he was hiring someone he met through a random phone call, I thought he had lost his mind. I am glad I was wrong. You have transformed our creative department." Emma smiled, thinking about how far she had come. She had not spoken to Derek or Hannah since that terrible day, and she had made peace with that. Some chapters needed to close completely before new ones could truly begin. She had found an apartment in a neighborhood she loved, made friends with her coworkers, and most surprisingly, felt genuinely happy for the first time in years. Nathan appeared beside them, 2 cups of coffee in hand. He offered one to Emma, celebrating. "Always," Emma said, accepting the coffee. "Thank you, Nathan, for everything." "Thank you," Nathan replied, "for taking a chance on a random stranger who answered his phone at 2 in the morning. Turns out we both needed that call." As Emma looked around at her team, at the creative work covering the walls, at the life she had built from the ashes of her old one, she realized something profound. Sometimes the worst moments of our lives are doorways to the best chapters we have not written yet. Sometimes a random phone call at 2 in the morning is exactly what the universe intended. Her phone buzzed with a text from her mother. "Coming to visit next month. Want to see this new life you keep telling me about? Proud of you, sweetheart." Emma typed back quickly. "Cannot wait for you to meet everyone. Love you." She slipped her phone back into her pocket and returned to her team, ready to create something beautiful. The pain of her past had not disappeared, but it had transformed into something else. Strength, wisdom, gratitude for second chances. Nathan caught her eye again and raised his coffee cup in a silent toast. Emma raised hers in return, a gesture between 2 people who had found hope in the darkest hours and turned it into something extraordinary. The sun streamed through the office windows, painting everything in golden light. It was, Emma thought, a perfect day for new beginnings. The end.